Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Today going to be doing a bit of a debunking video regarding Brenner's trailer, as well as just a little theory video to do with a small little area near to the pond, okay? As we do go along, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat, and you can talk about a few other bits and bobs in between. I guess we can also start this video off by looking at the comment section of the previous video. Fair few comments to get through, see if anything needs answering, questions, any key pieces of information, new information, etc. Seeing the presence of Bouncy Bounce, that account constantly popping in. They seem to know more than maybe other people, but they've not really introduced themselves into this, whatever you call it, community, if you call it that. So whoever they are, I think just a general pattern that has been noticed over time, there's a few people with attitude problems, for sure. Bit of short fuse, some of them. Is there anything else in between to talk about? Some person said that to check out 28 Alice live stream yesterday. What was the relevance of it or significance if someone was to summarise it? You know, just in brief, what was it really to do with? Shack Lady, did she appear on it or something? Yeah, is what it is. You can see this time in the background, clear desk, nothing, no objects, you know, out of place or more organised this time around. You don't be leaving your fruit laying about. Someone like Dale might like tossing a salad about, but you know, I don't really have salads. Oh well. So really, it could be a shorter video this, but you know, it is what it is. Let's begin right now. Go into the comments and yeah. Here we are, arrange it, newest, start from the bottom. Got a couple of comments to get through, hopefully not too long. Pack and Go says, Don Hately can solve this mystery if he would just speak up, but rumours going around he died. But then again, zero evidence, just made up lies to distract and send us on a wild goose chase and down rabbit holes. First of all, where did this even come from? I've never heard of it before. Never heard of Don Hately passing away. So, yeah. Let me know where it originally came from, Pack and Go. Okay. Don H, where are you? Bibbins, Ed. Who is going to be the hero for Dylan? I never thought Americans could stoop so damn low to protect an old, washed-up criminal over a young man that hasn't even begun to live a single dream. So disgusting, and for that, it's my prayer in your place of rest in torment, you itch and remain cold and miserable for eternity. And I never ever thought that way about anyone in my life. But you guys are a dumpster juice in my book. Okay, I didn't quite understand some of that, but that's probably just American language. Yeah, people moving away with time. Is it as a cause of Dylan's death, disappearance? Is it a cause of them trying to get away because they hold secrets? Someone like Kurt Wadsworth has remained, but the pressure has built on him. There's someone like Don and Ed, they moved away so they didn't crack. Is that a possibility? I don't know. But still, we just need to wait for official updates by like Candice Cooley, by the if there's any news channels as well. As for the news articles of the Dylan Rounds case, that's gone pretty quiet. Not really seen any new ones or any blogs. Badger says, Don Hately, I believe, has been told to not speak as to not jeopardise the case. In my opinion, Mom should have taken that advice, just stating that she believes Brenner snapped takes the death penalty off the table. As for Brenner, his past said he liked being alone. I don't think he told anyone. All, in my opinion. Okay, so you think that Don's not been keeping quiet? Okay. Why would, if that really was the case, why would it be Don? Why would Don be the one? Dom? Oh, for fuck's sake, Don. Dominoes. Oh, great. Good start already. Don Hately. Why would someone like him be advised to keep quiet at one point, a person of interest, of course, was close to Brenner, both proximity and friendship, and within the area. So what I would say is, if Don Hately, despite not living directly near to Dylan or the grain shed, being a bit further away from there, and supposedly keeping quiet because advised to by police, then wouldn't that apply to all the other individuals secretly out there in Lucin, in trailers nearby? Does it apply to everyone in Lucin? I don't know. Well, there you go. Ooh, zoomed on a bit there. Quintessential says, this was all searched already. They dug up the whole line and filled it up again. Was a while back already. Dylan's in the wash. So Quintessential is very certain and very direct, both from what he's, I guess, heard and followed with Candice Cooley and bits of evidence coming out over time. I get it. Quintessential, I believe, is the one that created that custom timeline over time by listening in on all the different panels and channels. So, he's going to be somewhat well informed on the case, but at the same time, you think about it, just in general, there's been a lot of rumours within the case. Yeah. What I want to say, Quintessential, it was Weezer, wasn't it? Was it Weezer? Weezer trying to contact Candice Cooley about this pivot that was searched. Did Weezer contact Candice Cooley before or after the pivot was searched and dug up? Can anyone answer that? If it was after, you can understand why Candice Cooley shrugged it off, because it's like, well, they've already checked, nothing was found, it's over and done with, right? But if it was beforehand, then, a bit strange. Maybe Candice Cooley eventually changed her mind down the line. I guess it just depends what order it followed in. The only other thing I do want to say is, with that pivot, as displayed in the previous video, and if you'd like to check out the previous video about the pivot, a deeper look at it, including footage as well, provided by Ty Corbin, make sure to check the link out down below in the pinned comment section, so you can check that video, okay? But there was an area, patchy, very patchy, a fair clearing, shape of a rectangle, maybe? I don't know what distance, but big enough. And it was very flat. And then the rest of the pivot was overgrown, and there was a lot of vegetation and quite dense. Now, why was that one area like a bare patch? What caused that? Can anyone explain? If it was as a result of the area being dug up, okay, I kind of understand that. But Quintessential says it was done a while back. So how long are we talking? A few months ago? About 7-8 months ago? Can anyone, explain it? And as well, was the entire pivot searched? The entire pivot, was it truly searched? Or was only a portion of it? Can that be answered? And aside from digging it up, what was used to dig it up? A backhoe? Something else? And was any additional equipment used, like a drone, some penetrating ground equipment? Just these like little pointers. And the reason why I say that is because if certain things weren't used or fully utilised, then you could put the argument across and say, does it need rechecking? Because look, end of the day, people are still going back to the grain shed property, going round in circles. People have gone back to the pond here and there, checking that out. So if they're being checked, then why can't you go back to somewhere like the pivot then, right? If you're going to double check some areas, you might as well double check the other areas as well. We got Gabriel the Angel constantly popping on in. He seems to deliver a lot of messages. Must be very busy at this time of the year. Saying praise to our Lord and Saviour, Jesus. If our people say, I am Satan, but I am not, can be your friend. Warlike Wrath, okay, bye. Confusing, yes, but it happens. Maria Tovar says, so boring, yuck. So I assume Maria found or finds my videos boring and she's disgusted in them. Okay, but to be honest, I'm pretty disgusted in your account, Maria. Default profile picture, ew. Zero content on your channel, ew. Zero contribution to the Dylan Rounds case, ew. Zero contribution to the Kenny Veach M Cave case, yuck. Exactly. It's a good thing Maria... fuck's sake, I can't say it. It's a good thing the other Maria, Meow Maria, is present. Maria setting a good example. Unlike this Maria. Oh my. Pack and go, I will watch the replay. Off to the auction to make money to go to Lucin for you, Warlike Wrath. Pack and go said she needs her trailer pulling. Okay. That was the other one. Linda Cushing. Shout out to Linda's dentist for getting those fingers in the mouth quick inspection of the teeth or whatever that needed to be done. In and out, fast extraction, CQB combat. There you go, that's the matrix for you. Linda saying, Warlike Wrath, some very good points you made. Can you do a video of Brenner's whole property so we can see how many mines are visible? I still believe Dylan's somewhere on that property. In the burnt down trailer, he owned 10 acres up there. It's worth checking out. Can you do a video of Brenner's whole property? I guess it depends. Maybe we can tie it in with the video today, or a little portion of it. Probably, maybe it's not ideal because I had a different idea of what I was going to do. But if there is additional footage or different angles by this individual we'll look at later, exploring the area, then maybe it can tie in with Linda's point. But, you know, mines in the area near to the burnt down trailer, Brenner, once living there, would have become familiar with the environment, what's present, what can be concealed, what can be buried, right? So I guess what Linda is getting at is that full understanding of places of opportunity to dispose of Dylan, right? But why do you go over to the burnt down trailer? Because it's a place where you once lived, a place what you know and still do, right? And it's away from everything. It's a place you probably wouldn't expect to find Dylan, right? True, police have been down there and have searched around, but I guess the question would be, how much of the land did they search at the time of the investigation? Linda saying that Brenner owned 10 acres of land out there in Montello. How many acres did the police search? You know, they seem to have the equipment and cadaver dogs and penetrating ground equipment, but was it fully utilised and covered all the land, or was it only a small portion? Does anyone know? Feel free to answer down below. You see, so we've got the questions going about the pivot. Was it truly searched? Like, really done well? And then Brenner's burnt down trailer. Clee 2-hour video. Cleo says, tiger, pussy kitty. So cute. Thank you, Warlike Wrath. You're welcome. Shout out to Cleo, the pussy kitty. Is that how you say it? Or is it kitty pussy? I don't know. But then again, it reminds me of that time in, where was it now? Oh, I forgot. Cal Ranch Superstore. Cal Ranch store in Burley, Idaho, where down one of the aisles, the Google Earth imagery showed the cat section with the cat food, the cat treats, and I think one of them, the brand, the name was called Tiddy Treats, Tiddies. Weird names, isn't it? Where they all keep coming out. Oh well, must be related to a cat in some way. Tom Evans saying, consider that Brenner drove his own truck to Don's. Was I thinking it originally? Yeah, well, basically I was under the impression that Brenner made his way to Don's, okay? And with the common consensus saying that Brenner is lazy, yeah, I would have expected him to drive to Don's, okay? But what does Indiana have to say? Indiana's got what has she got there? Is that a hamster? A mouse? I don't know. It's got red eyes. I think Maria was talking about it last night. Let's read. Okay. Well, Tom. Ooh, very formal. Timing is all wrong here, given Brenner said he left for Don's at 1:30 p.m. / 2:30 p.m. Then we have Don saying 3 p.m. Yet here we have Brenner, blue truck, coming from the front side of the grain store at 3 p.m. Stick with that thought and see how it all fits in. Is there a round road from Dylan's that then leads off to Don's, maybe dumping Dylan at this farm first, then returns at 9 p.m. if Don is right, to move Dylan to where? Is Dylan on his own land? Remains to be seen. Remembering Kurt's backhoe was at Dylan's before being moved to the grain store. We may not have the answers yet, but there are very good reasons to think Dylan is buried on his own farm. I hope so, and that he is found soon. Another person did make that comment last night, and the reasoning behind it was to do with, well, Dylan, after Dylan's death, Dylan's phone ping ended up at Dylan's farm. But as we know, 30 minutes spent there and then returned back to the grain shed property at 8:23 a.m. So really, if Dylan is at the farm somehow, somewhere, we only had 30 minutes to get the job done, right? But I can understand it. I can. But I think what you got to acknowledge is wherever Dylan's phone ends up, wherever it pings after his death, after 7:27 a.m., it's most likely in the possession of Brenner, I would say. It doesn't mean to say that at all times when Brenner has Dylan's phone, he's also got Dylan with him at the same time. That's not exactly the case. You know, I'll tell you something right now. In recent time, taking a look back at a range of different events and different stories of what supposedly happened and a couple of altering timestamps, at the end of the day, I look at it, but I don't get fully convinced by it, okay? Even if it's not quite the most stable of information, just to have a baseline, right? A little bit of foundation. I just remember and stick with the timestamps provided by Justin and Candice Cooley from like the videos I've done mapping it out, right? I still stick with them. All the other stuff, in my opinion, is ideas, things that could be seen as facts but end up switching and changing and are unstable, right? You need something, you need a baseline. Baseline can help you. If you ever fall back, you've always got something to land on, right? Even if it's just basic information, basic solid information, even that would be more than enough, right? I just feel that if there is confusion at this moment, because it does come in burst waves, when the next interview update with Candice Cooley comes, it may well clear up previous confusion, past questions. It could also open up more confusion, but it might clear up previous stuff, right? Yeah. And the only way I see it is it's still not the best way of thinking, right? But you'd, to an extent, hope to believe in the information provided by Candice Cooley or more so Justin Rounds, because they are the parents of Don. They're directly tied up in the case. They're the ones that will hear information by the police and authority first before anyone else does, you'd think, most of the time. So you think you're going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, right? The only other set of people you probably would look up to, listen to, the locals of Lucin or maybe Montello, who've been in contact with one another, who've seen things, heard stuff play out, yeah. But some of them have been known for talking a bit of BS at times, right? Say slowly in the background, like with Weezer and some of the people Weezer may know here and there. There's a bit of consensus over time. There's a bit of consistency building, and I have demonstrated that on my channel. And some of this stuff mentioned by Weezer has been mentioned by Tom, has been mentioned by another Montello local, has been mentioned by Ellen. That's the consistency you want. That's not really been seen before, okay? So whilst everybody is losing their head, as for here on this channel, it's all under control. And when there is drama, it's all under control because it's balanced. It's a balancing act. And then when we are going very heavy and deep and looking at all kinds of stuff which could cause problems, all under control because we've got the baseline of the previous videos I've done, so we can always fall back on them so you're not lost. Other channels which may have spent 10 hours, 5 hours doing live streams, cramming everything all into one. By the end of it, confused, drained, tired. You move on to the next video. Oh, confused now. Let's look back. How do you look back? You've got nothing visual. You got no projects. You got no true timelines. You got no true analysis, right? All you got is a bit of auditory, a podcast, and that isn't good to look back on because it's not quick, it's not time efficient. If you got a piece of information, a script, if you got like a visual cue, you can look back at some material. It can re-jog your memory immediately, right? Instead of having to re-watch a 10-hour long video just to settle stuff. Yeah, it's just so, it's wacky. Tom says, if I remember right, Walt said truck leaving the property had a deer guard and a light bar on the top of the cab. That doesn't sound like Brenner's truck. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. I also believe that there was a back road to Lucin Pond from the pole barn property. What do you think? As for Dylan being left on his own property, I think that's certainly a possibility. Indiana, as far as I'm aware, nothing is coming up for anyone having a blue truck with a deer barn lights on the top of the cab. Could this be someone from Idaho, I wonder? And what were they doing at the grain store? Yeah, like this is the thing. We start getting like really deep with the specific details, right? End of the day, to summarize it, if there was a visitor and it was on the day Dylan went missing, it's significant because that truck driver, that car driver, whatever you want to call them, is arguably a person of interest because they're within the area of maybe when it occurred, possible timestamps maybe. They may have seen, heard something, okay? Kind of like how they've treated Chase Venstra, Don Hately in the early days as a person of interest, including Brenner as well. So, yeah, that's basically how you summarise it. Tom, I'd give most anything to know the story that James Brenner told Box Elder about Saturday, May 28, 2023. Pack of lies, apparently. Okay. Whatever that is. Keeping up with the Joan, I don't know how you say their name. I think that with Kurt Wadsworth having a running backhoe, the main line to the pivot needed dug up and repaired and needs to be rechecked. I have ran backhoes for 30 years and I can dig a 12 to 15 foot hole in 15 minutes. Okay, interesting. So they had the time to do it before anyone could see. Okay, fair enough. Kurt Wadsworth, Jim Brenner, Don Hately are my only suspects. Fair enough. Don knows a hell of a lot more than said or telling. James Brenner is a felon when he was here in Maryland in the early 90s. had murder and attempted murder along with pistol whipping, felony and many more charges and fled to Utah, and looks like he's continued his dirty felony crimes in Utah. So this person here, keeping up with the Jones, you're from the area. You're from Maryland. Is that the case? So this person's speaking with experience, like with the backhoe, so that's good of them to share their thoughts and experiences. The bit about Brenner pistol whipping, isn't that what Maria said or something? Maria said, I'm going to pistol whip you or something. Oh my God, Maria? You becoming John Wick or something? Is that why you're growing that black hair? It's a bit curly, but you got all guns in the cellar. You're going to get the sledgehammer out, break the concrete and lock and load. My God, Maria. Anyway, unrelated. But the bit about it said had murder and attempted murder. Well, in the court documents, when looking back at that, because of his attorney, it was reduced from attempted murder to fatal wounding. So it was reduced, the significance, the severity of the charge. Everyone needs to be looking more into Kurt Wadsworth and Don Hately, and hopefully James will tell where Dylan is when he's facing the electric chair. But I think James is too much of a grumpy bitch boy and let Ellie know where he or Don Hately put Dylan. Thanks for all you're doing. Keep on keeping on, brother. I think you are mistaken about the pivot. You have a water main line that is buried under the frost level around 4 foot or 5 foot. There, I would think, and that supplies the pivot's water, and it'll go around in a circle or however you want it to be set up. I'd be happy to answer any questions about equipment, stuff I can help you understand. Please let me know. So I think okay at the moment for questions, but keep it in mind. Shout out to this individual for their comment. Any responses? Badger saying, only problem with pivots is they break down and dug up regularly, especially in a hard salt water area. Really bad place to put a body, in my opinion, because of maintenance. I have pivots. Okay. The thing is, if you just so happen to have a pivot, an abandoned one, then maybe you could get away with disposing of someone there. Because although the pivot may need maintenance, as like what was it, Badger? Yeah, as what Badger says. If it's no longer in use, it's like, well, who cares? Who's going to bother with it? As for this pivot north of the Grangehead property, there's levels of experimentation going on, as described by Weezer's comments, with the original owner and Don Hately supposedly looking after it, right? And then, I guess, recent time, new owner. So have they tried doing any more action, any more experimentation, seeding? Don't know, but probably could happen down the line. That's what I mean. Pivots may need maintenance, constantly digging up. Places of high activity or regular activity, less likely for Dylan to be buried somewhere like that. As well, such as sun tunnels. Sun tunnels, tourist attraction, hiking spot. People come on down, disturbance to the ground because of the tyres, cars driving about. Taking the dogs down as well. Maybe the dogs might sniff something out, dig something up, and then reveal Dylan. So not likely to be put there. As for the wash, which we probably can do a dedicated video to, don't know how long it will be. Place where people probably wouldn't always go to or visit. Okay, unless it might be locals using it as like a cut through. As for literally right in the middle of the desert, that's another possibility, right? As for mine shafts, if it's no longer in use and it's abandoned, then that would be another possible place, right? That's just the way I see it. You want to be in an area, if you're disposing of someone, where it's quiet, where you're not going to be seen, spotted, nor are people going to come to the area down the line. Not that frequent, right? Andrew Culver, been missing action, new job, Starts 7 a.m. That's fine. Wanda, sorry I've missed your videos. They are so good and I promise to catch up. Raf, you are very good. Have you thought of becoming a teacher? Well, if I became a teacher, I'd probably be fired on the same day for whipping people. Ty Corbin saying, Warlight Raf, thanks for sharing this video. I believe this farm is a high probability area. As for quintessential Quinton, has Quinton reached out to you, Ty, about the area being searched already and ticked off the list? Are you aware of that? Any communication going on in the background? Badger Life, 110, the pivot C, the green container, it holds chemicals, acid, that is mixed with the water. Okay, so one of the products. What Badger is suggesting there or hinting at with previous comments as well is the use of chemicals, the use of acid maybe to break down the remains of somebody, right? Maybe not directly here at the pivot, but possibly elsewhere in some kind of bathtub, in some kind of tank. That would apply to desecration still, the charge, because desecration is an umbrella term, as we've said. Has it been proven though yet? No. It's a theory still, but maybe it can come to light. Bouncy Bouncer said, here we go again, saying, why would you think he is buried on Robinson's farm when the airport would catch you accessing it on camera? That's just plain hilarious, just like it did when Ty Corbin trespassed on it a couple of days ago. So did Ty Corbin trespass on the pivot, or did he get permission? Anyone know? As for airport cameras, unaware of that. No one's ever really talked about cameras at the airport before, so how are you going to know, right? Was there a response back? Oh, Ty Corbin saying, no, the airport would not. It's accessible from the rail grade. Go to Lance's channel. That's the one for dummies. Bouncy Bounce saying, so you do know how to trespassing illegally and Ivo trust no one and has a lot of cameras. Are you sure you weren't caught on camera other than your own? Bouncy Bounce, none yaff business. So Bouncy Bounce has a bit of an attitude problem. Bouncy Bounce will call out people for getting this wrong and getting that wrong, supposedly, but they hold the answers, but they can't be bothered to reveal them. Not really helpful, right? Not really contributing to the case. Default profile picture, default profile in general, 0 videos on channel. What's the point, right? Does anyone know who Bouncy Bounce is? Are they from Lucin? Are they from Montello? I mean, to be honest and to be realistic, I've come across just a couple of people like this who have a bit of an attitude issue, and they do so happen to be within the area or nearby. And it makes me think, do they have an attitude problem because getting too close to the truth, or another reason which hasn't been discovered yet? And because this person's very defensive, they are a very defensive person for how they respond. Are they hiding something themselves? You know what I'm saying? As you know, I've extensively covered the Kenny Veach case in the past, and when it came to family members, arguably possibilities that some family members, if not Kenny himself, may have created alt accounts online to cause misdirection, confusion, or threats or warnings to throw you off the scent if you got too close to something. And if you ever did try confronting them, the accounts either just disappeared or they didn't respond back, or some of them got a bit defensive and whiny. Are we seeing reoccurrences here? You never know. Because whilst Don Hately may be away from the area, has left, Ed Harshberger too, right? And maybe a few others in between, you know? They could still be listening in on the case. They could be watching along. It could be Kurt Wadsworth. You never know, right? This is the thing. When you do get tossers that don't even have a profile picture of their face on YouTube, tossers with complete random usernames, and they're trying to act serious, and they're trying to act as if they know stuff, but they won't reveal this, or they won't show this, show that, they won't show the providence of it. the origins or the origins backstory of themselves, you can't take them serious, right? That's the reality. Let's move on. Hey Rafe. If you didn't know, that banana and apple on the table in the background looks like that. Yep. Christy B. Oh no, Christy. That was a close one. I thought Christy was going to type a paragraph down. When Brenner did the hunger strike because he wanted to talk to Dylan's family, in brackets, if it's true, did the family talk to him? If no, why? Could have been the last occasion to find out where their son is. If yes, what did they talk about? I don't want to be disrespectful, but my main goal as a parent of a missing child would be to find my child first, not Brenner's sentence, documentaries, or decide where to put the reward money. I find this behaviour a little bit dodgy unless they already know what happened to Dylan and where he is, or they found Don, made him talk and took care of him afterwards, referring to dead men walking. I mean, it was talked about briefly by Candice Cooley in the past, Brenner doing a hunger strike for 30 days. That was acknowledged by Candice Cooley, but there wasn't a reason explained to why he did what he did. Okay. Was he having a bit of a paddy? Not quite sure. Don't think Candice Cooley has spoken to Brenner ever. Not from what I'm aware of. She's not really mentioned it in interviews too. Grizzly. Okay, so we've got Gizzy, and Grizzly. Similar names, interesting. But this one's got a black dog on the profile picture. My God, is that dog okay? Grizzly. That dog looks like it's been taking a few of Stoney's crystals. What's going on? Poor dog. Anyway, JLR has finally posted the video of Brenner's trailer or camper remains from his live a week ago. When JLR was out there, I saw parts of the live stream and posted over here because you were on that subject. For some reason, it took until now for JLR to upload the video. Hope this helps. Once again, perfect timing. Of course, this comment, very, very fitting and relevant to what we are going to transition onto in a minute, right? So make sure to stick around for that. But it makes more sense now, the context behind it, because maybe Grizzly or a few others mentioned about JLR being in the area, right? The other YouTube channels as well, and they were starting drama there and, saying he's a bad person. I have no clue what's going on, right, with all that stuff. But that aside, person in the area, documenting it, went on his channel recently after hearing about it, saw F all, but I guess the live stream, which may have been temporary or something, and then clips of it was uploaded as standard video format at a later point. Okay? So that explains why some people saw it before the video came out, because they saw the original live stream when it was up at the time. Okay, that's fine. We'll look at that in a second. Christy B, very interesting video, great points. You're welcome. Yeah, there we go. So, of course, let's move on. As a brief context to the backstory regarding Brenner's burnt down trailer and the little mystery surrounding it temporarily, we can just home on in, okay? Got to bear with me for the visual aspect to load on in properly. Just make sure I'm in the correct area as well, so roughly speaking, I think it's there, somewhere within the area here, right? I did pinpoint it on an individual video recently, but basically you couldn't see the trailer. And I did properly map it out, pinpoint it, and it just wasn't visible. And it didn't make much sense either. I was trying to understand what changed, what really changed, and still, when looking here, 2023, where is it? Where is Brenner's burnt down trailer? Ty Corbin said he was going to take a look if he could. I think Weezer talked about it as well. But JLR got there first and documented the area. Let's just take a brief look at some of the screenshots of the direct area to see the situation right now. As you can see, right there is Brenner's trailer, the remnants of it, the barrel or the stove, the cans, bits of scrap, the whole lot, right? This is like what we saw back in 2022 when Lance went down there, okay? So really that debunks it, doesn't it? It debunks it. But Brenner's trailer is still there at this moment in time, 2023. So why did Bing Maps spaz out? What went wrong there? Does anyone know? Anyway, let's just take a look through some of these photos. I didn't get footage because it's too risky. You don't want copyright claims and all that dodgy stuff. But for most part of it, it all looks to be in the same spot, okay? As for track marks, didn't really pick up on them. Maybe if we went back through the footage of this channel, you may see something yourself. Might provide timestamps as well, if necessary. There's another angle. Left-hand side is that like chicken coop, if you call it that. And behind it, the crutch is still there. It was never taken away, so that's interesting. Because normally when you get these smaller items of interest, they tend to be manipulated, moved about, taken away. But in this case, untouched. As for the ground, when you look about, can't really see any footprints from the looks of it. As you see, those gas canisters there. I don't know if JLR went up to those shovels. You know, I only briefly looked through the video just to get the odd screenshot, you know. And then there's the shadow of him. It's funny, there was a time in the past where, when it comes to shadows, in the very early days of Pancake's channel, when he went down to Montello, at the beginning it was trying to understand, who is Salty Pancakes? What does he look like? And I remember trying to make sense of it through some reflection photo of him at the Saddle Saw bar, like looking through the window or near the door, and was trying to see what the reflection was like and then increasing the brightness. Now, to be honest, it was somewhat successful. Okay, it's obvious now as what Pancakes looks like, of course, but you know, in the early days when he first appeared, you wouldn't know. By the time, he looked like he was dressed up as a fisherman. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah. Let's just move on. This is the guy called JLR, okay? Just wanted to get a screenshot of this because, you know, people could argue and say, oh, but those other screenshots you're looking at could be old ones. But no, this confirms another individual has been in the area since and have documented it as well. So that's good of him. As for JLR's video quality and his stability, you know, when holding the camera, quite well. Good motion as well. It's fairly clear to follow. The camera movement isn't erratic or blurry, so, you know, it's always helpful, of course. It gives you more time to be able to focus and take it all in, right? And yeah, of course, if you notice anything out of the ordinary, any objects which have been added or taken away, feel free to explain down below, okay? As for the date of when this video was uploaded, 20th of April 2023, but the full live stream supposedly was done earlier, maybe a week or two before that, just for context purposes. But you get the idea. But in recent time, at least in 2023, someone else has gone down there to Brenner's burnt down trailer in Montello, Nevada, successfully documented it. The trailer still exists. The trailer is still there. Bing Maps has fucked up big time. Okay, moving on, just referring back to the pond area of Lucin, provided by a Montello local, shout out to them. Regarding that in the background, if you weren't aware, it was cleared up and explained. It's a root cellar. Root cellar. Is that root beer? Root beer cellar? Anyone explain? And once again, the question's reiterated. When was the last time this root cellar been used? Regularly? Abandoned? Anyone know? Who owns it or who made it, built it there? Has Dylan Rounds ever talked about it? Has Dylan Rounds ever gone into it? I've never heard it mentioned by Candice Cooley or Justin Rounds. It's just because with the way it looks, it's kind of small and concealed, right? I mean, anyone could walk into it from the looks of it, but could it have been a place to hide Dylan, store bits of evidence? I mean, take it in mind, if searches have been conducted in the area of Lucin Pond several times now, I guess, or a couple of times more so. Yeah. Surely LE or whoever else in the area dredging the pond, digging it up, draining it, they would have obviously seen that in the distance. And at some point, more so in the early days, may have gone down to it and investigated it, right, and gone inside. Does that clear it up immediately? It's only because I wanted to do a little brief coverage focus on it because Tom Evans said it opens up new ideas and possibilities. So we can share that here in the chat, in the discussions. If you think it's a place of interest, leave your thoughts. If you think or if you know it's been searched already, list that too. I mean, maybe some people could argue and say, right, you got areas like this. They're in plain sight. They are visible, clear to see. Are you taking the LE volunteers, family searchers out there as dummies, that they're completely dumb, blind, unaware of it? No, but to be honest, the way this case has gone in general and the way it's been handled, you got to second guess and think everything, right? You never know. Okay, you might see something which you assume has been searched, but maybe it hasn't. You know, one of those situations. Eventually, it might get to that point where you notice, you question something, and it turns out that it is important, but it's been overlooked all this time. I mean, as for that bra shed, there was never a follow-up by Lance Kelly. Did the police ever get back to him about the bra shed and the clothing within? Anyone has an answer? Yeah. Well, what I'll do, this was the image uploaded to Google Earth. I believe it's the same exact thing, right? Looks like it. Yeah, I'd say so. So the root cellar. I mean, it's low down. From the looks of it, you'd have to like crawl in. As for Brenner, would Brenner be able to fit inside of it? I don't know. I don't know if he'll be able to fit through the doorway. Probably not. You have to push him in, but I think that'd be a good idea. How deep does it go? Does it descend? Or is it just like a tunnel? Can't quite make out, and there's something blue dangling as well. How far in does that go? Can anyone explain? And has anyone been inside of it? Anyone got footage? Doesn't seem to be any signs saying like keep out or unsafe. None of that. Yeah, just wanted to briefly highlight it, to be honest. Just to clear up anything. Don't be starting new discussions or closing some questions down. Is that it? Yeah, that appears to be it. So yeah, I would say that's pretty straight to the point, that, the video. I just thought it was important to provide these little updates in between, especially about Brenner's burnt down trailer. You don't want the previous video just to remain up as a cliffhanger and never cleared up truly, at least on the channel itself. Like, what would be the point of that? Yeah, I've got experience within the Kenny Veach case when it comes to tying up stuff, so this is just a very good example of that, right? Other channels may create a mystery accidentally and not clarify it down the line, and that's where it's a bit problematic. As for background rumours to do with Dylan Rounds, Dylan's health, or Dylan's I don't know, other just like random factors in between. The way I see it is, does it really lead to Dylan's death? That's what I would say, right? It might have made him, something might have made him a bit weaker, or something might have made him a bit more vulnerable, but did it warrant for Dylan being killed? Probably not. I think what we saw maybe in the comments of today, or it could have been a previous one I looked at just by myself, of Dylan getting himself into trouble somehow. Is that Dylan's fault? Maybe not, just stumbled across it. But, you know, all this time Dylan's been out there for, of course, I know he doesn't live there, right? He moves about, but all this time, and it's only just happened now, when you look at these timelines, and there was quite a bit going on back then. Yeah. Still, it's worth, you know, just looking out for the latest updates if they do ever come about. The Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page has been quiet recently. I think what happens at times is when I stop looking for updates, that's when they come, right? Maybe put into practice if possible. But I think it's appropriate that the next video, if there's enough to talk about, and if not, it'll just be a shorter video about the wash and the odd material pick as well, just for context, right? It makes sense. If there is a high degree of certainty and confidence that the wash is the place, then arguably it narrows it down massively, right? You don't have to be going north or south, because the way this wash goes, it's east and west. You know what I'm saying? And with the wash being not extremely wide, as if you used to stand in a field of Lucin where it's just completely like that, spread out, right? It just narrows it down. But how confident can people say Dylan is in the wash? Are people 100% sure Dylan's in the wash? 95% sure? 88% sure? 75% sure? Or lower? We're not going to do a poll because we're getting towards the end, and as well, percentage-based polls based off percentage votes is just a weird thing to do. It just doesn't work, right? I did it once and it was just a bit of a mess. Tasha last night talking about lots of polls. No. In the past, one time, 10 plus polls in one night. And in the past, I kept spelling polls as pole dancing, an actual poll. I only realised by then, after typing it in several times, we're going to do a poll right now. It got to the point that night where after doing 10 polls, I couldn't keep up with it, and I ended up forgetting some of the polls. So then I had to create random ones on the spot. Yeah, it got a bit messy, right? So we tried toning it down over time. But then, you know, if you don't do them for a bit, Indiana or Christy gets very hungry, more hungry than an actual cat does or hamster, and wants the polls. So just gotta throw them out every now and then, right? As for any other background situations, I'm kind of oblivious of. I've just really been looking at Dylan Rounds, and I guess just keep it that way. Of course, has Bella V come on in recently? Maybe she has. Bella V's stamina is lacking a bit, right? For some of these videos in recent times, she's not quite caught up with them. So Miss Testosterone, I think you need to pass on a few pills to Bella V. Make sure you don't get the wrong ones mixed up with one another, or that could lead to one thing to another, okay? As speaking right now, I've been able to successfully wake up each day without feeling chained to anything, tied to anyone, which is all good. No marks on the wrist either. Context behind that before people misinterpret it. Marks, i.e. the handcuffs where they're wrapped around, that's not happened since. So I think things are fine for now. Will they be forever? I don't know. As for the whip itself, I don't know what's going on here. It's gone a bit droopy. That has really gone droopy. It's been raining, so I don't know what's going on with it, and it's all loose, like it's literally loose like that. Literally. So, not to see about that. As for Dale, as for Graham, just need the appropriate equipment for the time, right? Yeah, okay. I think we'll leave it there. Hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. It made sense. It's cleared up some questions you had, right, like with Brenner's trailer. And we'll see what happens next. Time will tell. For now, thanks for watching, goodbye, and good night.